Hi, my name is Agata. Welcome in Agata's Cottage. Today I'm teaming up with Sam, so let's sparkle with Sam, and we are making Patina Blouse. I know you will tell me it's very old pattern, everybody made it, but I haven't. So a few weeks ago I visited one of my friends and she was in the process of finalizing her Patina blouse in gorgeous pink cotton poplin with a little bit of animal print, and I fell in love with overall look. I bought the pattern during Friday Pattern Company sales, and I thought, okay, I will make it one day. And then a few days later I was watching Sam, and she mentioned that she's planning to make another patina. So quickly I reached out to her and asked her would she like to make a collab with me, because I knew that if I won't force myself somehow to do it quickly, it's gonna wait another 2 or 3 years before I will reach out for this pattern. I was very lucky and Sam agreed and told me, actually I already finished making the blouse that I was already planning to make, but we both knew that we have the same fabric from Ecobee Fabrics, just in different colors. So she suggested maybe we could use this fabric and make our own versions of patina. And I was extremely happy with her suggestion because I was dying to use up this fabric. This fabric is a viscose twill, is slightly heavier weight than standard viscose because I think it's 140 mg instead of standard 115. So, but it does have lovely drape. You might not see drape everywhere because I did spray with starch this fabric a lot, and why I will tell you in a minute. But first, let's start talking about Sam. So Sam is fellow YouTuber. She lives in UK. She makes fabulous clothes. Like, not only she makes them very quickly, but her clothes are always immaculate. On top of that, she makes annually a sewing bee synopsis. We don't have access to BBC television here in Ireland. Actually, some people do. We don't have regular television, like the television box. Therefore, we, as our family, we cannot watch it. We did had occasion a few times to watch it at someone else's house, and we did like it. But you know what? We prefer to watch Sam doing her synopsis over watching the sewing bee. It's just more fun. Like, she's so hilarious when she does those synopses, and she's so detailed. I just love it. I know this year's sewing bee is done. If you haven't watched the Great British Sewing Bee yet, and you don't have access to it, I definitely recommend you go check Sam's series. It's brilliant, it's so much fun, and the outfits she's wearing are always spot on. So now let's chat about Patina Blouse. So this is patterned by Friday Pattern Company. It comes from in sizes from XS to 7XS. I think it's 152 centimeters bust, and so it's wide size range, and it's on the radar of the sewing community for last few years. I don't remember what year it was released, but I think it's at least 3 years on the market, and a lot of people made it. And to be honest, every time when I saw it, it's a lovely pattern, it looks gorgeous on someone else, but I don't think it's me. And I kind of was right. It's nothing to do with the pattern. I think it's something more to do with my style. I had a lot of adventures making this blouse, so I will start from the beginning. I read a lot of reviews, I read a lot about the sizing, etc., and a good few people said that they sized down. So I looked at my bust measurements and I came into size XXL. My bust is 44 inches, my upper bust is 39 and a half. Sorry. So I was on the fence which one I should do. So I looked at the finished garment measurements and I decided to go with size XL. In majority of the companies I do fall into XL size anyway. So I decided I'm not cutting into this fabric yet. I want to do a toile. So I did the toile. I will show you it here. And you know, I was cocky. I was like, yeah, it's gonna fit. So I did the toile and I decided to do it sleeveless because I didn't have enough of this fabric. It's a remnant of the fabric I use for dresses for Project Dress a Girl. I finished everything nicely except for the hem, and I put it on, and the bust is too tight. It's so tight that it wasn't that I wouldn't be able to button it up, but you will get the drag lines and it would split where the button is. So I'm gonna fix this and I will tell you how in a minute. Then I look at the back and I discover that there is a big piece of fabric that was kind of bellowing up. So I knew I need to do sway back adjustment. So I did on this blouse full bust adjustment of 2 inches, and I did a sway back adjustment of 1.5 inches. I couldn't figure out how to make a sway back adjustment with the yoke. I looked on the internet, I looked on YouTube, I couldn't find any tutorial that would make sense to me. So I decided I'm just gonna add a center back seam. This fabric is busy enough so you won't be able to see that there is a seam here. It's not that visible. So I took 1.5 inches basically in the center around my waistline and I just went down, so kind of like a 2 darts kind of thing. To take it down, I moved the adjustment to my pattern pieces. I adjusted it and then I curved the seam for the center to make it more flattering. So I'm happy with that adjustment. There is not too much here. It fits well. So for the full bust adjustment, to be honest, I was a bit terrified because I put my muslin on and I measure where my bust apex is and it seems extremely high comparing to some tutorials that I seen online, and I was kind of freaking out if that's okay or not, because like I haven't done FBA in a while because majority of the patterns I use either do have built-in FBA or they are from stretchy fabrics and they can handle a little bit more in the bust area. Anyway, so I did the adjustment and I thought, okay, you know, it is what it is. Apparently my bust apex is relatively high comparing to the other people. Let's go with that. So you can see my darts are finishing here, so they're spot on in decent place. Maybe not perfect, but about that in a minute. So I decided I'm gonna do muslin number 2, but I didn't want to have another very similar blouse to the final result. So I decided I'm gonna do blouse without the collar because you know it has a facing, so everything will be covered in anyway. So I just did I basted the facing, I basted the side seams just to see if it's gonna fit. It fit, and I decided, okay, I will finish muslin number 2 at the later stage when I'm fixing muslin number 1 to make it wearable. For now, let's focus on the final project. So my muslin number 2 is also in viscose twill, and from working with that fabric I discovered that it's, even though it's relatively heavyweight, because it's a viscose, because it has a gorgeous drape, and because of its weight, it stretches and grows. So I used whatever spray starch I had left, and that was a lot to spray the fabric all around, to iron it flat, to make sure that it's not too stretchy. And I didn't want to cut straight into fabric. I decided I'm gonna trace everything on the fabric, but because of this weight, it was just pulling. And I cut out two fronts and I put them together, and they weren't identical. And I compared them to the pattern pieces, and only one was identical with the pattern pieces, even though I cut on the tracing lines that I actually marked myself. I was extremely frustrated. So what I did, I put the fabric flat completely on my floor, abandoned my cutting table, so it doesn't have a chance to actually go hang anywhere. And I pinned the right pattern piece, like right front, the one that was matching the actual pattern piece, onto the fabric, and I cut it out again. Luckily, I had enough fabric to be able to work with problems like that. So that was saved. Then I worked on all the other pattern pieces. I don't think I ever use as many pins, as many pattern weights, and as many breaks during cutting out. It was exhausting. By the time I was done, I needed a break. And I got to sewing, so I did the yoke. Although I did the yoke different method, I'm not really keen on the method that was done in Patina's instructions or in the sew along. I used the same method as I did for Rhapsody Blouse by Love Notions. It was just easier for me, so I did that. So I did the back yoke, I did the shoulder seams, etc. And I was, deciding, okay, now let's go do the collar. I start sewing collar and I had a panic attack that I'm sewing with the wrong seam allowance. So without checking, I unpicked everything and then I went back to instructions. And of course, what I was sewing with the correct seam allowance. It's just in all the other patterns that I was sewing that had a collar, collars were usually sewn with slightly smaller seam allowance than 3/8 of the inch. So I was like, okay, stop panicking, you need to focus. Then I had a Zoom with friends, sewing Zoom, and I was working a bit on my patina, and the girls were laughing at me because I was getting extremely frustrated with bits and pieces. But it was done, almost done. So I hanged it on the on my dressing form without the buttons, without the hem. I put it straight. I pinned the shoulder seams to the dress form so they are not moving. I just wanted to make sure that if there is any overhang, if there any problem because of the weight of the fabric, that things will drape evenly. So I woke up yesterday morning and I had a surprise. I had the wonkiest hem ever. So basically it was wave and wave and wave. So I had to take 3/4 of an inch of the length to just even out the bottom hem. But it turned out fine. It's perfect length for tucking into trousers. Like I would prefer to wear it anyway, so I love it. I did few things a little bit differently just for the neatless, how the neat finish is, or basically how I wanted to say it. So the placket suggests that you finish everything by top stitching, and I didn't want to, so I did just invisible hand stitching on the inside of the placket, and then I attached the collar, so not the collar, I attached the cuff also by hand. So I attached the outside with the sewing machine, and then I did the inside by hand. I just wanted to have neater finish. The same thing I did with the finishing of the hem near the button placket. The bit that's near the button placket, I just did finish it by hand. I just preferred the look over finishing it with the sewing machine. On the back, I have Specky Seamstress, it doesn't have to be perfect label because it's definitely not perfect. So what are my thoughts? In general, I like it. I don't love it yet. I think I need to wear it a few times to love it. The fabric is perfect for blouses, and it will be perfect for autumn and early spring in Ireland, even winter with jacket. Sleeves aren't full length, so like when they are full length, they don't seem flowy enough, so I want to keep them like just above my wrist. And anyway, I do prefer to wear blouses like that. It's very comfortable. I'm glad I did the FBA and this way back adjustment because it does look nice on the back. Will I make it again? I don't think so. It's a lovely pattern, but it's not my style. I think it's a little bit too feminine. So my overall thoughts about the pattern. Um, I don't think it's pattern good for the beginners. I think you need to know a little bit more about sewing to be able to do all the things unless you are watching sew along while you are doing step by step. I did find that in few places I had to go back and reread the instruction and double check whatever it's the same seam allowance or not. Pattern is okay. I'm not wow by it, but I think it's because I had so many adventures with it. I wouldn't recommend it for a beginner. I would say it needs to be someone who has some knowledge behind them and someone who made at least one blouse before, ideally with a collar and buttons, so it's easier for them to understand certain things. I do like overall look, and I love it on other people, but I don't love it on me. I just like it. But anyway, I needed a blouse, more elegant blouse in my wardrobe, so I'm extremely happy I have this one done. And I have a feeling I will love my muslin number 2 more than I will love this. But it's comfortable. If I decide to go back to work, I think it would be perfect office attire. It's nice. The fabric is cool when needed and warm when needed, and it's perfect for Irish weather, so I'm planning to wear it tonight. Alice has some appointments we need to go to, so I think I will look relatively put together wearing it. And I'm very grateful to Sam for doing a collab with me, for agreeing to be my partner and to cheer on, and it was great fun. We were sending each other update pictures and we were deciding on the buttons and stuff like that. It was just fun to work with someone else on the same project, and I cannot wait for you to watch her video. So go check her out. I will leave link to her video in the description box. I hope you like this video. Thank you for watching, and don't forget, clean your sewing machine and change your needle. Happy sewing. Bye.